Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. Good morning. How are we doing today? Trust we're fantastic. And we had a great weekend. Remember, as we go out today, let's remember to practice all we need to practice to keep ourselves safe and everyone around us. Okay, so today we go straight to what we have today. Okay, so you know how you ask your child, probably you get back from work and you ask your child about something that seemingly happened, and the child starts to tell you stories and you can't put them together. You know, they're just bits and pieces, cuts everywhere. And then you can't put them together to actually make sense of what the child is saying. Well, today I'm here to tell you how that can get better by telling you how to, sequence stories. So today we're looking at story sequencing. When we say story sequencing, what do we mean? We just mean the components, the identification of the components of a story, looking at the beginning, the middle, and the end. The ability to be able to retell a story in the correct order in which they occurred. Okay, so today I'm going to use the story Little Red Riding Hood as an example to tell you how you can support your children to better sequence stories. Okay, so before you start, remember that you must always get the title of the story. You can't just tell your child, okay, we're going to read a story or we're going to, look at a story today, and there's no title. So there has to be the title of the story. What is the title? And then, you can always use different things like picture cards. You know I love pictures a lot, right? So you can say maybe I'm a visual learner, okay. But what I'm saying is you can use picture prompts to get the children to sequence the story. So depending on their ages, they can actually use pictures or they can use simple words, simple sentences to sequence their stories. But remember, they must also understand the structure of the story. What do I mean? They must know the characters, they must know the setting, the plot, where the story took place, so they must have an idea of what the story they're about to read is about, right? So you can get them, you can ask them questions like, okay, who do you think are the characters, or what do you think the book is about? And then by the time you begin to read the story, or by the time they have read the story, you can ask them questions like, okay, how did you feel reading the story? What do you think was the mood of the author when he wrote it? Or the illustrator, what do you think he was thinking? What do you think he had in his mind when he was drawing those pictures? Then you get to arranging the story or sequencing the story in the right order. Now, like I said, every story has a structure. So it must have the beginning, the middle, and the end. Now, because we're exploring the story Little Red Riding Hood, and we've read it, and then I ask a child, okay, tell me what the story is about, right? I don't expect the child to say the woodcutter came and hit the wolf on the head. That happened at the end. So I expect that the child should be able to tell me what happened in the beginning. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood. Her mom sent her to go give her grandma some fruits because she was ill. On the way, she picked some flowers she saw in a beautiful garden. As she was going, she saw a wolf. Now, I've told you what happened in the beginning. Now, the middle of the story is the body. Right, she met the wolf, they got into a conversation, he asked her some questions, and she continued to pick more fruits and pick more flowers. Now the middle is like the suspense, right, of the story. Is like, oh, what's happened? What's going to happen? Right, so the middle is where you capture the main event or the main idea behind the story. And then, of course, we know what happened. The wolf gets to the grandma's house, gets on the bed, puts on grandma's pajamas, her glasses, puts on, and then pretends to be grandma. And then we get to the end where he swallows Little Red Riding Hood, of course. And then the woodcutter hears her scream. He comes and he hits the wolf on the head. The wolf runs away and never returns. Now, can you see? I didn't have to read the whole book, but from what I've said, you understand what happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, what happened in the end. So it's like a summary of the story, but arranging it sequentially, just the way it happened in the correct order. That's what story sequencing is. So I expect, or you should expect, that if something happens in your absence and you get home and you ask your child, oh, what happened? The child should be able to tell you what happened from the beginning. For instance, if a bottle was broken, the child shouldn't just say the bottle broke. How did the bottle break? The child should be able to tell you what happened till it got to the point where the bottle broke, right? So we can't just say Little Riding Hood picked some flowers. Of course, she was going somewhere. So the beginning of the story builds the story up, and then you get to the middle, and then you get to the end. So everything makes sense. So by the time you put the bits and pieces or the different parts together, it gives you a complete, a complete breakdown or a complete summary of an event just the way it happened. So I hope this video has helped you understand how you can better support your child to sequence stories correctly. And trust me, when they do that, they become better authors. They become better writers because they're able to put their story together to make sense. So when they keep practicing how to sequence stories. Remember I said they can use pictures, simple words, simple sentences. When they keep practicing how to sequence stories, they get better at it. And then we would have loads of more authors. So till I see you next time, have an amazing day, and remember, stay safe.